G'day guys, Duckville here. Welcome to a Heart of the Swarm replay that I've got. It is going to be a Protoss versus Zerg. This one was taken from our lovely Protoss players replay pack up at the top left hand side here for Team TtSEED. It is Arium. And Arium is a very young Protoss player here, I think 14 or 15, I can't remember off the top of my head, but one of the very young talents that has been up and coming, and of course is now a part of the, what is, a kind of a academy team, or a, up and coming rising stars kind of formation that has come under the umbrella of the Root Gaming team. We've got a couple of those players in the SEED team actually. I really do like watching quite a few of the SEED players. I'm really happy about how well a lot of them have developed, especially Arium here. And he's going to be up against another very young player, Mr. Petraeus down here, who is a part of the full-on, the adults version of the Root Gaming team, and he's of course over in the US at the moment in the Root Gaming house, and he's looking to make a splash for himself this season in 2014 over in the North American scene. Has been really doing well in the Southeast Asian scene here, down in here. He's of course from Australia, and from New Zealand, and we'll pretend he's from Australia just to really piss off the New Zealanders. Yeah, he's done really well and has now decided to push the limits and go ahead to head across to the Root Gaming team, and Cats has made a wonderful acquisition in both of these players, I think. Arium has really shown himself to be a very really well-rounded Protoss player. I think has a little bit of an advantage, particularly in does really well with some timing stuff, I think. But I haven't seen a huge amount of replays, so this will be a little bit of a further experience for me to have a look at how Arium takes on a very highly skilled Zerg player. So this should be quite interesting. Of course, we're in 2014, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the future, I guess, and I hope you all had a wonderful New Year's, and if you went out and did some celebrating, I hope you had some fun, and very safe fun. Don't want to get too crazy, of course. You got to be careful while having fun as well. That's not my motto, but I'm sure it's someone's motto. We're looking forward to a pretty interesting StarCraft year. Of course, there's going to be some really big events coming up. We'll see quite a few of the DreamHack events, of course, and all sorts of things, and not to mention, some of the maybe some more grassroots kind of stuff coming up. I would like to see that, and of course our favorites, Home Story Cup, and we'll see how WCS evolves this year. But anyway, let's talk about our current game with two players that can certainly show themselves in the WCS. We may see them in the qualifiers, which are coming up in a little while. Arium's going to be going for a gateway expansion, heading down towards the natural here. This is something which is, of course, very common for Protoss players these days. Rarely do you get to see the... actually, I shouldn't say rarely. My bad. I'd say it's uncommon to see the Forge Fast expansion as much as we used to. Pretty much all the time, as it used to be a long while ago. But then, of course, this particular disco ball that's flying about here up in the sky came about, and the Mothership Core, of course, provided Protoss players with a way to expand while not necessarily having to wall off this front door here. You don't have to do it. You can, but you don't have to. I think it's opened up a wide variety of builds that Protoss players can utilize in this matchup. Not to mention a wide variety of problems for Zerg players and Terran players as well. And it can, well, we'll see how it goes for Petraeus. As I said, Petraeus is a very highly skilled Zerg player, very reactive. He likes to keep an eye on what his opponent is up to. We'll see his first few links pop out in just a jiffy here, if they're not. Well, the first couple are already out, but normally he does like to poke around with a couple of the first few batches of lings and sort of check out these areas just down the side here for if, there's any pylons or anything like that. But he's keeping an eye on that with quite a few of these overlords that have been roaming about. So he's going to be doing something similar to that for already, just using the overlords for now. We can see that Arium is going to be opening us up with an oracle. We're going to head across the map and put some pressure on what is normally a third base in construction, or at least halfway done by now. But Petraeus has gone a little bit different here. We're getting our speed very quickly. We've got lots of gas coming in, as you can see from that second extractor. Spinecrawler has gone down, and we do have there are a couple of, I thought there were more than that. There's only the 4 queens out, but he has already started the creep spread. Now, Arium will see how much damage he can get done here because, as I said, normally you'd expect this to be a little bit further up in terms of how far it had been built, but he's going to arrive and see that it is not as far ahead as he normally would have expected it to be. The Queens are going to go to town on that mothership core. We do not want to lose the mothership core here at all, but it looks like Arium is just going to let it go. Actually gets a kill on the hatchery, not a cancel at all. So that's it's a little bit interesting to see from Petraeus, but he's going to try and fight back. He's got a lot of links that have just finished up, and as we can see, he's got some link speed that is just about to finish up as well, along with +1 melee and +1 on the carapace there as well. The Oracle does come through and says hello, kills off a couple of workers there, grabs 5 in total. Nicely done by Arium, and now as these Zealots retreat, they are going to find out that there are a lot of lings out on the map. So Petraeus is having to fall back to something that is a little bit more of a an unorthodox style, I guess you could say, by picking up the 1-1 melee and carapace very quickly. This was something that came about quite a lot during earlier portions of Heart of the Swarm. Zerg players would just ramp up those upgrades really quickly, grab 1-1 on these lings, then just try and brute force down the Protoss player before they're able to get a full laser composition going. But Arium is he's been safe back at home. We of course do have that wall up and running, and now as we can see, he's got a couple of sentries out, a couple of those Zealots as well, and is expanding behind all of this with his third base now on the way. We're going to use a forge and a gateway to try and segment this section of the base here. You can sort of see what normally happens at this third base. We'll just sort of zoom out to give you a better view. Is that the Zerg player sometimes will rush up here with Roaches and Hydras, or Hydras and Lings. They normally will want to take down the rocks there. I've seen people who go in without taking that down, and that's just asking to be force fielded behind everything and lose all of your stuff. But anyway, the point is that once you get inside here, you can sort of batter down some of these buildings and get a lot of damage done at a quick third Protoss base. But Arium, well, he should be relatively safe for now. I mean, we've got a cannon coming up in the mineral line, so these lings are forced to have to go back home. An Overseer is going to poke through here for Petraeus to see exactly what is going on, and he's going to eventually find that there is a Robo Bay down at the back, and oh, wow, a couple of extra Stargates have now gone down for Arium here. He looks like he's really going to go quite heavy on the air presence here very soon. Perhaps predicting that there is some kind of Mutalisk switch coming out of Petraeus here, but I mean, with Petraeus only just picking up this third base, like, as we can see, this is 10 minutes in and we're still waiting on some drones to populate this space. So he's just transferring a few of them across right now, and he will finally get that mining. But Arium is feeling pretty comfortable right now, I'd say. He's got his third base. We're about to pick up the 5th and the 6th gases there. He's got +1 to weapons, of course, a little bit slower given that we have invested in some early harassment, and then of course going straight up to the Robotech as well. But okay, there you go. Wait, I thought that was I seeing things? Guys, was I tripping out? I thought there was a third Stargate there. I don't know, maybe I am. Maybe it's still New Year's Eve and I'm still drunk and I'm pretending I'm casting, but I'm actually sitting here looking at the TV and the football's on or something like that, and I'm casting a StarCraft game and it's actually football. I'm not sure. We'll find out when I have to render this, but anyway. Twilight Council on the way for Arium so that he can follow up his +1 weapons with the +2 weapons if need be. Not to mention, he can pick up some useful tech such as Charge, and Blink of course becomes available along with the Templar Archives. And he's going to have a quick peek through, wants to see what's going on at this third base. Okay, we've got a lot of drones, we've got the extra gases there finally coming along, but what we do have are some links just running inside the natural base here. One's going to get inside the main, and then the rest are going to be at the natural, but the Colossus has popped out, and that should be able to clean most of these up, as we can see, burning down all of those lings as they came through, and another Colossus about to be finished up here for Arium, so he's going to have a very, very large map presence right now. As the second Colossus pops out, we can look to see what he's going to be going for next. It looks like a few more gateways. We're preparing for a big assembly of destruction as he prepares that mid to late game Protoss death ball that normally involves lots of lasers. And I'm a little bit surprised, speaking of lasers, that we don't have any Void Rays out. It's normally, like, it's become a very common thing to see at least a few Void Rays included in the normal sort of composition here, but he's decided to let that go. We're going to get a second Forge across at the third base. Meanwhile, for Petraeus, we've gone into Lings and Infestors right now. The Ultralisk Cavern finally on the way. The Spire is only just now being put down, so he's not going to have any real anti-Colossus tech for a little while right now. And one thing that we can see here from Arium is that he's just double-checking what's going on. His opponent, he can confirm that his opponent has Hive. We've seen that the Ultralisk Cavern is being built up as well, and therefore, even though we have the Fleet Beacon on the way, in fact, I thought we saw it. There it is, yeah. Fleet Beacon is just finishing up. I thought he may have been going for Tempest or something like that, but he's decided to add in some anti-Ultra forces, including the Void Rays that we were speaking about before, and those Immortals. So he's making the correct assessment of the situation here, picking up the anti-Ultra forces and getting out a few more air units as well. Meanwhile, Petraeus, just look at this creep spread. He has come across over halfway across the map. He's still got Lings out of the map that have been here since the start of the game, and this creep spread has just been phenomenal from the New Zealand Zerg player here. He's going to start losing a little bit of it. I would assume that Arium has no, okay, he doesn't have an observer. I was going to say, I would assume he would have one somewhere around here by now, but what he does have is complete control over the top section of the map, so he should be okay with moving forwards right now, and he is going to take a fourth base just to make sure that his grip is strengthening here as he really pumps up the Immortal count. As you can see, we had two at a time starting to come out. An observer or two are going to come out as well. Not to mention upgrades galore for both players. We've got +1 to air weapons. Armor is coming through a little bit late, but it's not too bad. The Anion Pulse Crystals is also on the way here for our Protoss player, but Petraeus over his side. Chitinous Plating just about to finish up. His 2-2 melee and carapace are done, and 3-3 is now researching. We've got a Great Aspire on the way as a preparation for a possible Broodlord switchover, and he is now looking to really establish himself over here on this side of the map after having a little bit of a slower start to the game, but now he's going to kick it all into high gear. Arium's going to be preparing some what I like to call fences. It's sort of something which has been around for quite a while. You can see these pylons here. What are they for, you say? Well, they're not for warping in, I can tell you that, because you might use them, but what they're actually for is for choking up Ultralisks. Of course, the big Ultralisks, as you can see here, very big, cumbersome hippopotamus units here, and what they will do is funnel into these single positions, and as you can see, speaking of funneling, lots of Lings getting funneled there, but they funnel into these positions, and it means that you can focus them down one at a time, not to mention not all of them will get into the battle. So it's a great tactic to utilize as you move into late game as a Protoss player. Try and take advantage of the terrain, morph it into your own terrain as well, and speaking of morphing, Petraeus forced to cancel a couple of his Broodlords that he had rolling there. Lings are now making it in towards the third base. We can see that Arium surrounds the cannon with a couple of those probes. The cannon's still getting hit, but inside the main base we had a couple more Lings that were looking to get through but did not make it in time. And Arium, well, he's going to be feeling very comfortable right now. He's got all of the prepared tech that he needs. He's got Tempest on the way to deal with the Broodlords. We've got the Colossi and the Immortals available to deal with a lot of the big threats on the ground. But is he going to have them in position here, because he is slightly out of position just at the moment? But no, it looks as if he is going to fall back. We're heading back towards the fourth base. Arium now just about to be maxed out. We can see that Petraeus is also maxed out, but he's having to deal with threats all over the map. Some Zealots are going to be warping in and diving down towards this fourth base, and Petraeus, he's going to be able to deal with them, but this is some units that are across the map that aren't going to be across if a main battle occurs over here on the right hand side. So Arium again is just sort of setting up these forward fences and just making sure that he can corral all of those units there if they do decide to charge forward. Petraeus has got vision of where his opponent is, and as we can see, Arium has also got some vision here. I'm a little bit surprised that we don't see Arium with another Oracle just sort of pushing out to drop a Revelation, but it's not too much to worry about right now. I mean, he's got other things to deal with. Lings are trying to bust through the front door of his Natural and the Broodlords that are now here. are, of course, a little bit of a threat. Not as much as they used to be back in Wings of Liberty when they were all the rage, when everybody was building 93 of them and you had some infestors to go alongside them. But as you can see, Arium getting some more, having some more losses here with these probes now going down. These Lings are, of course, going to do a ridiculous amount of damage. They've got their adrenaline glands, and they also have adrenal glands, I should say, and they also have 3-3, so they rip through just about everything here, even taking out a cannon before they all fall down to that stray DT. But Petraeus, I mean, he's looking reasonably comfortable right now, sitting at 78 drones at this point, and as you can see, Arium's going to have to make a choice. Do I want to make a move, or do I wait for my opponent to make a move? Because as time goes on, these extra tiny little upgrades that you don't see as often, +2 to flyer attacks, we'll see the 6th base of Petraeus now come up here at the top left hand side. These little things all start to add up, and especially when you factor in another Spires on the way, and finally Vipers are going to make it onto the field here. So Petraeus is getting that mixture that we were talking about, that reactive mixture, but is it going to be enough? Of course, Tempests do a ridiculous amount of damage. Now, we can see that Arium has not really prepared too many upgrades for those air units, but it might be enough given that there isn't a huge Corruptor count. Storms will go down. We can see the Tempest firing on some of the Broodlords there, reducing the Broodlord count. We've only got 3 right now, but Petraeus is not afraid. He's going to charge in. Time Warp goes down. We see the Abducts come out from the Vipers, and then, of course, even a couple of Fungal Growths going down, and Petraeus looks like he is going to lose out in this fight, though. His units were just too clumped up. He can't be clumped up against the Protoss. They've got their Void Rays, they've got their Storms, they've got their, of course, the Colossi for the ground units as well, and I mean, once you start to lose a big mixture of units like that, it puts you in a very tough position as a Zerg player. Despite the ability to utilize the, 47 Larvae that Petraeus has, he doesn't have, all the available units that he needs here, because he's bringing out 8 Ultralisks, which is all really nice, but I mean, what's he going to do against these Tempests? What's he going to do against the Void Rays? We've now got even Phoenix coming in as a bit of a counter to a possible Mutalisk switch, but some nice Abducts come out here. We can see that Colossi was drawn out to the side and is, well, it looks like it was going to be burnt down, but Arium blinks across to the side with some of the Stalkers, takes out the Corruptors. This Colossi is still alive somehow, finally falls down. There is a single random DT in there, and it looks as if Petraeus is going to force his opponent back, but for how long, I wonder, because Arium is going to be able to resupply very quickly here. Not to mention, he's going to burn down those Broodlords very, very quickly. And I think that may be a possible nail in the coffin. Petraeus trying to resupply. We can see, didn't mean to click on that, but we can see that he's got a lot of Lings on the way here, but as I said, this can become a real problem for a Zerg player. When you're trying to resupply and you're like, damn, I need to get some units out. What am I going to do? We'll make a lot of Lings. But unfortunately, at this point, when the Protoss has a lot of these high-powered tech units out, Lings just mean absolutely nothing. And as we can see, Arium's even going to throw in a couple of Archons just for good measure. So we've got an interesting game on our hands. I mean, Petraeus has now lost his the 5th base, I should say. He's now mining off basically 1 base at this point. I suppose it's 1.5. This 3rd base is still going strong at this current point, but the 4th base is obviously still mining, but not completely efficiently at this point. So Petraeus has got to find something to do with these Lings. As I said, they're not the most efficient units when it comes to late game. They can certainly do some damage, and if he can sneak them into a good position, they can certainly put a monkey wrench in the machine of your opponent. But Petraeus is going to have a hard time finding a good place to go. Finally starting to kill off some of this creep spread. Here is Arium. It was all the way across to his natural, and in fact is still going to be there for a little while. But he is putting together a very sizable army, including some Phoenix, even though there's no real massive muta count or anything, but it helps out against Corruptors. It's weird how they can how the Corruptors can sit here and can provide a really dangerous force to deal with, but as soon as you have some Phoenix to try and distract them or try and take them out, they can really help out with that kind of thing. So Arium looking for a spot to dive in here and try and clean out the remainder of Petraeus' army. Is he going to be able to do it here? It could be decided with this final battle, as Petraeus decides Arium is cornered enough. A blink back with some of the Stalkers. We get some Storms and a Time Warp down as well. There are Corruptors all over the place, getting work done, targeting down the Tempest. Wonderfully done by Petraeus, but it seems as if it's just not enough. Arium with his 203 upgrades right now, despite being down in the upgrades by a pretty reasonable amount. The Stalkers are just going to be all over the place. They're going to charge after some of these, or I suppose they're going to blink after some of these Infestors across to the side, and that is going to be a lot of gas lost by Petraeus here. GG, and he taps out. Realizing that, unfortunately, just didn't have the economy to be able to back this up and try and resupply himself, especially after losing those very useful support units. Well, we lost some of the Infestors. We're going to lose some of these Corruptors here. Look at this guy. He's ready to lay down the Pimp Fist on that cluster of Corruptors. But anyway, hope you all enjoyed the match between these two fantastic young players. Go and check out their streams and say hello to them on Twitter. Say hello to me as well. It's @DuckvilleLol. I'll catch you all next time. Here. As you can see, 47 damage to bio units and then the 34 damage against other standard targets. His storms have also been wonderful, just spreading them out across the battlefield, doing really, really nicely there. And for minigun, he's been sticking with a much more